Hey guys, what's going on? Figured I'd take you guys through another cutting board video. Gonna be making some walnut cutting boards. Right now we got some rough 6/4 walnut that we just picked up. So gonna start running that stuff through the joiner and planer, get it all shaped up. Alright, so step one, right here, our board, you can definitely tell it's a little funky. We got a little bit of a cup right here towards the end, and it's not the straightest board in the world. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop it into 24-inch sections. That way, when we're running it through the planer and joiner, we're not taking a ton of material off to get it nice and square. It's gonna save us material in the end and give us the thickness that we want. Alright guys, now that we got all these chopped up to length, I made a makeshift sled here for the planer. All it's going to do is slide right down there, and this is for the small bench top planer. It's going to work perfect for doing these, but I'll show you what we're going to use the sled here for right now. Alright guys, I'm going to choose to use the sled here for the planer instead of using the joiner, mainly because the board here is 1x8 and we only have an 8-inch bed on the joiner. So one way to counteract that is to use the sled. What we're going to do is, you can tell right here, we're eliminating this gap, the wobble that's in here. We want to get a nice clean surface, a nice flat surface on the top of our board. So one way to do that is to either take shims and shim this up and tape down the shims, or what you can do is throw a little bit of hot glue down on your board and secure, letting that harden up. You're now left with no wobble. So we got all these ran through the planer now. Obviously this is what we started off with, nice and rough. Now it's beautifully smooth. So the purpose of the sled there was to get a nice perfect flat surface on the top side of the board. We then take that top side, the nice clean side, throw that on the bed of the planer, send it through, and that gives us two nice clean sides. Kind of the same thing you would do if you had a joiner that was able to accommodate something so wide. But now we're gonna jump over to the joiner so that we can clean up these edges and start cutting up our strips. All right, so I went ahead and ran all the material through the table saw. So we have all of our pieces here. I ended up cutting up some cherry and some sapele as well, kind of give us some orientation in the board, make it look neat. One thing I did want to point out though is when you're running all your pieces through the table saw, you want to make sure that you have a clean edge running up against. I'll show you here. All right, so it's easier if I just show you. But when you run your pieces through and you have that saw curve, that's going to end up being on the one side of the board. You can see on this one a little bit better. The burn mark, sometimes you'll get the saw curves. You want to make sure that you take this piece back to the joiner over there, joint the piece before you run it through again. That way you're not getting saw curves on both sides of your boards. And you can see here, saw curves are only on the one side of all of these. Every other side has been jointed. So now I'm going to send them through the planer, make them all super even, and that way we can start gluing up. All right, so we got all of our pieces cut, our pattern figured out, our clamps off the wall, we're ready to glue. So let's get into it. All right, now that we've got the boards assembled, we're gonna be ready to send these through the planer here in just a minute. First thing, like I did with these two, scrape off any glue squeeze out off the boards. I'll finish up that one in a minute. And then we're gonna take the sled that we built earlier on for sending the walnut through the planer, and we're gonna do the same thing we did earlier on. Hot glue either end if there's any wiggle in there. After that, we're gonna send it right through the planer, and then once we have that clean side, we're gonna run that side face down, surface the other side, and we'll be ready to final size these, sand them up, put a round over on them, and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Next step to this video, though, this series is we're gonna drop it onto this CNC here. We're gonna route out a juice groove within the board, and we're also going to put a little name engraving on there for a last name. So if you guys are interested, watch the next video after this, and it's gonna be more on engraving, and also we're gonna do a final oil of the board so you can really see the grain and the wood pop on there and really come to life. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, jump on to the next video after this one, and I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you.